Oh yeah! Heck yeah! Absolutely yeah! That is exactly what we wanted to see, because today we are diving into maybe some of the most exciting Montreal Canadiens news that we can pay attention to. Today we're talking about Habs' 5th overall pick, David Reinbacher, and a recent update from Reinbacher himself that dives into just where everything is at. He's 20 years old, 6'2", 194, right-handed guy, drafted by Montreal, as we had said, 5th overall in 2023. Controversial pick at the time because he was taken over Matvei Michkov. But David Reinbacher, if he's able to pan out to what he was supposed to be, a very versatile, good-paced, defensively responsible, big right-handed D-man, somebody in that Mo Seider-esque role, maybe with a little less physicality and maybe a tad more mobility, this was a guy who was supposed to be a potential top-pairing defenseman. And the only reason we're not talking about him in that same way nowadays is because of the injuries, which really slowed him down the past calendar year. He got hurt in the preseason off of a very awkward little hit there, and he had to get surgery. He was taken out of the lineup. He only played 10 regular season games with the Laval Rocket. 5 points, which is pretty good. 6 points in 13 games in the playoffs. But now, this is where we dive into the update. Because courtesy of our friends on TVA Sports, turns out David Reinbacher's knee is completely healed. Not the former NHL goaltender Jonathan Bernier, but the TVA Sports journalist Jonathan Bernier went out there and posted this article earlier yesterday, and we're going to dive into it here. It'll be linked in the description if you want to dive into it yourself. And of course, because it's on TVA Sports, the original article was in French. I translated it to English via the Google machine because my French is not that great. A first-round pick by the Montreal Canadiens, contested by some due to the availability of Michkov, the Austrian David Reinbacher has still not had the opportunity to compete for a position within the Montreal Canadiens D-Corps. After a somewhat more difficult season in EHC Kloten, he saw his ambitions quickly evaporate last fall, suffering a knee injury during a preseason game. He had to wait until mid-February to return to action with the Laval Rocket. At the end of the playoffs, he estimated his knee's health at 99.5%. Nearly 4 months later, after a summer spent on working his lower body muscles as well as improving his movement and direction, David Reinbacher says that everything is back to normal. "I'm 100% now. My knee feels great," said the D-man who was participating in a promo activity with Upper Deck. "During the summer, I never felt any problems. I was happy to see that my knee held up. I changed my training plan. I wanted to try new things to strengthen my knee and avoid injuries," he continued. "I hope this season will be an injury-free one. I'm really motivated." Now, I don't know if Reinbacher did this himself, but I'm going to do it because I got to. Let's do the little knock on wood there. I also hope that David Reinbacher's season will be an injury-free one. Thank you very much there, David. But this is a very good and enlightening piece of news. The fact that he wasn't 100% at the end of the regular season, of course, that's not surprising. The guy spent most of the year out with the injury recovery, so it's not like he was going to go out there and be all of a sudden at his best once he returned to the ice. But now he's 100%, and he had to change his training plan. Of course, for a lot of us, normal people who aren't National Hockey League caliber athletes, it becomes a little bit difficult to try to adjust and change things up, but that's normally what we gotta do. If we get ourselves hurt, we get pain, we really damage ourselves in a certain way, the best thing you could do is try to reevaluate your own training and what you do around that in order to strengthen the areas that were weakened with the injury earlier on. So I'm not going to go out there and say any sports scientist kind of physical trainer stuff, but David Reinbacher going out there, strengthening his knee, that's very good. It's exactly what he needed to do here, and I'm sure that he's got some very smart people advising him on what to do. Hopefully the season is injury-free. Knock on wood. The article then goes down an interesting path. It talks about how the Canadiens have 2 spots for 3 players. The 20-year-old athlete can't wait for training camp to begin in about a dozen days. Except the competition will be fierce. He'll likely have to battle it out with Arber Xhekaj and Jayden Struble for the 6th or 7th D-man spot. And since, of this trio, he is the only one who can be sent back down to Laval without passing the waiver stage, he certainly starts with a disadvantage. It's certain that my goal remains to break onto the Montreal Canadiens right now, but I don't have the final say. I have to focus on myself, on what I can do on the ice every day to try and influence management's decisions. And that also plays a part into it as well. Struble and Xhekaj, I think most Canadiens fans have them penciled in as NHL regulars, if not NHL press box regulars. Arber Xhekaj is probably not going to get sent down because the Montreal Canadiens would not want to lose this guy out on waivers. He probably would get claimed, just considering the reputation he's got around the NHL and how valuable that seems to be. Meanwhile, Jayden Struble is just a very solid defenseman. Like, he could honestly play 60, 70 games on the year, and I don't think anybody would really complain. He's fine. But David Reinbacher is going to have to show up very well if he wants to overtake either or both of these guys for the Montreal Canadiens D-Corps. And plus, he's really young and he's got waiver exemptions, so that puts him at a pretty big disadvantage. No matter what fate Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton have in store for Reinbacher, he will accept it. He wouldn't consider a return to Laval as a failure. It's a long shot, and sometimes you have to be patient. Not everyone gets to play early in the NHL. Said the man who will celebrate his 21st birthday at the end of October. To grow, you have to learn a lot. Man, that's pretty good, eh? I think the article says it best, words filled with wisdom, considering that due to the misfortunes that have befallen him, he still has not played a full season in the North American pro ranks. So for Reinbacher, of course, it's like, yeah, you were hurt, buddy. You missed out on so many months because of injury. Anything that happens to you in 25, 26, where it's like, oh, you didn't make the Canadiens, that's absolutely not a failure, and it's relieving, I'd say, that David Reinbacher doesn't view it as such. He's just going to take it as it comes. He understands the disadvantages he has. He understands that other players probably have higher seniority, you could say, on the team, and a better path to making the team than he does. But tough competition is a good sign that the organization is moving in the right direction, even if it means David Reinbacher might have to spend the winter in Laval. It's an exciting time to be a member of this organization. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. We're older, more mature, both on and off the ice. Great things are coming. In fact, Reinbacher has had a glimpse of it since his return to Brassard 2 weeks ago. What he sees while rubbing shoulders with Suzuki, Demidov, Hudson, and the other young Habs sensations enchants him greatly. Their work ethic is remarkable. Everyone works hard to improve. Sometimes we even train twice a day. So, if Reinbacher is getting out there and participating in these Brassard practices, I'd say that's pretty good, right? Getting himself back up to speed, learning how to keep pace with Ivan Demidov and others. It only makes me even more excited for what this guy can potentially give the Canadiens this upcoming year. And I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you feel about this amazing David Reinbacher update in regards to his health? He is 100% healthy. Not 99.5, not 99.7, not 99.9. 100. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.